Hi second graders, and welcome back to Science in a Snack. Today we talked about cooling and heating, so we are going to do two experiments of our own to see what happens to a liquid when we put it in the freezer and what happens to a solid when we leave it out in our kitchen. Okay, so we're gonna need some materials. If you don't have these materials, that's okay. You can go ahead and just watch along with this video, all right? So first thing you're gonna need is some clay, all right? I have a brick of clay here. If you don't have clay, you can even try Play-Doh, okay? Here is my small piece of tin foil that you're going to need. We also need 100 milliliters of water and an ice cube. And my ice cubes from my freezer, they're pre-made. They're pretty small ice cubes, so yours may be bigger, and that's perfect, okay? So let's get started. First thing we're gonna do is set up our science notebook, because as scientists, we wanna make predictions about what we think might happen. So grab your pencils, grab your science notebook, and here we go. I labeled mine cooling and heating, since this is a cooling and heating experiment, okay? And what we're going to do is we are going to make a bowl out of this clay, and we're gonna pour some water in it and put it in the freezer for 4 hours and see what happens, okay? And then with our ice cube, we're gonna put it in tin foil, and we're gonna leave that out in our kitchen, somewhere by a windowsill maybe, and see what happens 1 hour later, okay? So for my chart, I put in the first column, water in clay bowl in the freezer. And then I also put ice cube in tin foil in the kitchen. And then I made a column for my prediction. Remember, prediction is an educated guess, what we think might happen. And then I put a column for my observation, what really did happen. So go ahead and pause the video right here if you need to, so you can copy the chart. Okay, second graders, let's get started. Let's make our bowl, our clay bowl first. So you're gonna take your clay and you're sort of just gonna knead it out a little bit in your hands or on the table. And you can make it any shape you want. You can make your bowl circular. You can make it rectangular, like that trough that the horses were drinking out of. You can make it square. Whatever your little heart desires, you can do, okay? So I'm just flattening mine like a pancake first. And now I am going to fold up the edges, and I'll try and show you what I'm doing. If you can see how I'm folding up the edges. It is really important, second graders, that when you're making your clay bowl, that you don't have any cracks in it, okay? Because just like if you've ever seen a pool, even a kiddie pool, if it gets a crack, all that water in there or that liquid is just going to pour right out, okay? So I'm gonna use both of my hands now and work on my bowl a little bit more. And I'm just making sure that the bottom is pretty well constructed and solid. I have a good base, and then I'm gonna pull up the edges to make my bowl. And I just wanna make sure that I have a really nice base to work with. And I'm just gonna pull it up a little more. There we go, I'll show you what I did here. Look at that, okay? So as you can see, here's my clay bowl. I don't have any cracks. I don't think any water is gonna seep out of it. I hope not anyway. So, looking at the clay bowl that you just made, or mine, we are gonna pour water into this and put it in the freezer. Let's make a prediction. What do you think is going to happen to the water that is in this clay bowl? I want you right now, under where it says water in clay bowl and freezer, under the prediction, I want you to write what you think is going to happen to that. I'm gonna write my prediction. And I'm writing, I think the okay. All right, so I wrote my prediction right there in my chart. So I hope you all did too. Pause the video if you need a little more time. Now, what we're going to do is you need 100 milliliters of water, looks about like this much water. You're very carefully going to pour it in the bowl. Okay, so as you can see, my water is sitting there in my bowl, and we know that water is a liquid, okay? I'm going to very carefully tiptoe over to my freezer right now, and I already cleared off a nice flat spot where nothing else is around it. Then I'm gonna lay it down, and we are gonna set a timer for 4 hours. And we're going to let this sit in the freezer for 4 hours and see what happens. So, I'll be right back. And I'm back. Second graders, I hope you just put yours in your freezer as well, okay? All right, part 2 of our experiment is we're gonna do the same thing. We are gonna make and construct a tiny little bowl out of our piece of tin foil, okay? So again, I wanna make sure that it's pretty solid and that I don't have any cracks in it. So you can go ahead and get your tin foil, and just like you did with the clay, if you have tin foil, if you don't, no worries, just watch me. Just like we did with the clay, we're gonna make a bowl out of our tin foil, okay? So, here we go. I have a nice little bowl out of my tin foil. I wanna make sure that the edges are pretty high and not too flat, okay? All right, now it's time to make a prediction. I am going to take my ice cube right here, and I'm gonna place it in this tin foil, just like you see. Now this time, instead of 4 hours, we're gonna wait 1 hour. And in 1 hour, we're gonna come back and we're gonna see what happened to the ice cube. Now, I'm just gonna leave this somewhere in my kitchen, probably right here on the back counter, okay? So let's make our prediction. What do we think is going to happen to that ice cube? Okay, so second graders, go ahead and make your prediction about the ice cube that's in the tin foil sitting on the counter back there. What is gonna happen when I come back to look at it in 1 hour? Try to write in complete sentences. We are second graders, right? Okay, so second graders, that is the beginning part of our experiment. We're gonna stop right here. If you have other assignments that you need to get done today, you can go ahead and do that, and then watch your timer for your ice cube, 1 hour, okay? Our clay pot is gonna be 4 hours in the freezer, and you, in 1 hour, can come back and you can swipe over to my next video and see what happened with my ice cube and clay pot, okay? But once your timer goes off, go ahead and look at those things and then write down your observation. What did you see? And in the next video, we're gonna talk about it, okay? Thanks for hanging out with me. I'll see you in a bit. Bye.